discussing on YouTube. This is Acid Root. So in this particular episode, this will be part 21 of the Beef Ravioli Run of Mystic Quest as far as this fair is going to happen. So there's a little bit of just sidetrackedness within this particular fair. Not too terribly much going on. This is just this particular boss fight. But the fair about it is it was kind of a squabble within this particular episode as far as this fair is going to happen, just because it's not so much like the leveling that's the problem as much full bound, because Phoebe can't really level up. It's just kind of pitched as far as saying that it might be to a certain extent kind of on Zone's partake, just because you can still get one shot with some of these type of fairs. So definitely pay attention within the concept if you don't know about this game within the already going in of it. Just when he kind of has his psych shield up for the defense system, you just don't want to attack him because it is a one shot. I was just trying to see if I could forego it, because I was trying to wonder if I could still get some damage in without having to wait. But you do have to wait, because I think probably I would almost say in certain senses, I just would wonder if even you were at like level 60 or 80 or something like that, if he could still one shot you, something like that. This is kind of the format that the game doesn't want you to attack while he's in defense mode. So it's kind of the pitch as far as saying, this is the penultimate fight in the game. This is the second to last one. So this is kind of the fair as far as talking about like the particular aspect as far as saying and stuff. Just within the aspect behind it is just kind of, there's really no more enemies unless you go back to like earlier in the dungeon. I think that's the only real way that you can grind further, but there's really no necessity for it. I feel like pretty much now when I fought the final boss, I'll go ahead and say that this is in a time lapse, just because I beat the game prior to doing this. By the time you see this episode on YouTube, I'll have beaten the game as far as what's first going to happen. But just within the pitch as far as saying, like, the concept about it is I was able to beat the game on level 31. I think that's what, I'm kind of losing track of what I was talking about, but just being able to say, like, it shouldn't take too much of, like, a real problem for the most part. I mean, the characters probably can one-shot, like, the characters in certain senses, but for the most part, as long as you relatively know what you're doing, it shouldn't be too much of a damage. But that's just kind of the thing. So I mean, probably for more or less strengthiness, maybe getting to like stage level 33 or 35, something like that, was just kind of the fair as far as saying that I was fighting. It's not like I was skipping out on enemies in this dungeon. I fought every last one that was available in it. So it's just kind of the fair as far as saying that it's just the leveling just was not up. The only thing left to do, I mean, obviously, you know, in retrospect, I didn't do all those battlefields, but then I did do a good series of them. This is kind of the pitch as far as saying I did a series of them just within like I think even if I had defeated every battlefield that was in the game, I still don't think Zone would have gotten too much higher than probably level 32 or 33. Wouldn't have been too much different. It probably would have made it like mildly easier, but it's not like it mattered because I beat the game at stage 31. So this is kind of the pitch, but just be honest. So I look after here kind of within the conduct of it. So kind of a spare type episode, just kind of the pitch. But that's the basic. I mean, this is an excellent game. Kind of does question what Arcana is going to be like if I do decide to do that, because I have contemplated it. I mean, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Basically, the next probably game that you're going to see on this channel in the curriculum of what's going on with these things is probably going to be some PlayStation 1 stuff, and then the rest is Super Mario World, which I did record some episodes before this particular episode was posted, but the fair about it is I just cannot defeat the tubular stage then, and that's in the special world. So as far as saying, now in the past it wasn't as much of a deal, but it's just I really feel like the rhythm of playing these games is just just feels like my grip is loosened as far as those fairs. Not to say in terms of like this, but just the aspect of like playing some of these like games. It's just, you know, with me juggling other things and just the fairs, it's kind of this you know, when you play these particular video games in the system of going to, you know, like grade school within those fairs, and it's the concept of having that particular passage and sneaking in those moments, as far as it's just kind of the concept. It's just not, I don't know, there's just something about the passage of, you know, 26, 27 years, some of those type fairs within pitch, and just the aspect as far as saying it, just, I don't know, there's just something about it. But yeah, it was in the 90s when I was able to complete those games, but it's just kind of the fair. Super Mario World was just a royal pain, and I lost the save. I could prove it within the pitch, but something something happened. I don't know what happened to my Super Mario World file, but it's just kind of the pitch as far as saying these Super Nintendo games, now that they're getting older and older, are they're losing their safe on. The thing about it is there's really not game shops that can restore like the battery in it, so it's just kind of the fair. I mean, I think there's probably folks that designate that particular concept, but it's just not a super commonplace that too many people care. I mean, I would say for the most part, maybe if you live in like Los Angeles or New York or one of those type of places, Detroit, somewhere like that, or Chicago, some of those type of places, I would probably assume that they have some sort of place where you can put a new battery to keep playing those Super Nintendo games. So it's just kind of the fair as far as saying it's just not as likely. Luckily, Mystic Quest hasn't given me problems, but then I have left this Super Nintendo game pack in the Super Nintendo for 7 years. It just has not moved. I bought a whole different Super Nintendo just to make sure, when I played that game, and I've actually owned two for a while. It's just kind of pitch. I just had one, just kind of in a different spot as far as this first game. But it's just the pitch as far as saying it just allowed me for games like this, because I knew back in those days when I was playing like Chrono Trigger and some of those types of ones, that was just going to be in terms of dislike. You just don't want to remove the game pack and then have to keep doing like games like this, because I probably would not have beaten this game had the save file been lost. That was kind of what happened on the original playthrough that I did on this Acid Roots Gaming channel, is just as far as saying that the one that I made it basically into the volcano land, as far as was first going to happen, I was within the pitch as far as saying I was going to intend on beating it that way. I think that one was that one was a little bit more cohesive. I realized that most of this playthrough was from 2018 as far as it was first going to go, but it's just the pitch as far as saying that that particular one that I started up in like the fall of 2021, the newer one, I think that, I was doing like a breakfast type stuff with it as far as those first kind of went. Just kind of, I had like a theme of like, coffee and biscuits, or, grits and gravy, some of that type of stuff within the fair. Shout out to Dave Chappelle, but this is the pitch as far as saying like, it was this kind of breakfast sequence for just more morning appetites within some of those type of products. But it's too bad about that one. I don't feel like going back and completing this game again. Particularly, as much as I like this game, there are some moments in this game that are not fun to do within those parts. There's just certain moments, like the volcano boss is really annoying, and so is the tree sections. It's fun to watch as far as what's first going to happen when you actually do it, but there's just certain things. Like, I don't mind the pyramid stages with the bone dragon and the ice pyramid, some of that type of stuff. Those are not too annoying, some of those type fairs, but, like, particularly, I did not have, it was kind of, in retrospect, was not as enjoyable within pitch as far as trying to do, like, the tree dungeon, and, like I said, it's fun to watch, get those appeals kind of going, but it just, the triggering of some of that type of stuff, it's a classic Final Fantasy game. It's the same thing with Final Fantasy VI. That is a classic, real blistering type game, obviously. Chrono Trigger is a little bit better, but then once, to spoil things, once you get past the point where Chrono has some problems within the pitch, it's kind of the aspect as far as saying that there's some side quests that you have to do in order to restore things if you want the best ending or one of the better ones. That it just is kind of within a trial that there's some aptness and mini games, from what I remember, that kind of have like some strokes of luck that you have to do that kind of makes that game a little bit more rough around the edges than what you probably like. For the most part, until you get to that point where Chrono has his problems late in the game, right before there's nothing left but side quests, and then the Lavos fights is kind of the pitch as far as saying, but that's just the ordeal. But it is a classic. Final Fantasy VI is a classic. Final Fantasy IV, that's a great game. Probably will not do that game, but it's just the pitch saying some of those have ones that were from back in those days. But just to talk about Arcana, it's just kind of pitch. I would like to fuck with that particular game. I don't know if I just want to go into it blind or something like that, but, the main fear about it is I would just have no real cycle as to beating that game, and I would have to say probably it'd be a real colossal annoyance if I were to get, like, super far in that game. Like, I'll tell you, if I were to get, like, if that's, like, a 40, 50, 60-hour game, and I get 75% of the way done, and then I remove the game pack, and then it just erases it, I probably would not be too pleased. That's just kind of the concept as far as saying it's just those are the sorts of areas. So in the next few moments I get mad, so I'll be silent for a moment so you can hear that, but it's just kind of pitch as far as saying.
Stop doing that.
This is kind of the pitch, but yeah, that's the thing, because I was recording this live. That's what you have to keep in mind, is I had to play this silently within pitch because it is kind of a live commentary. I could have done it that way and done the Let's Play that way, but I just didn't want to do it that way. Post commentary just has a little bit more flair about it, in my opinion, for me at least. It's just kind of concept, but that was the only real time I got mad. It's just that particular boss is getting annoying, but it's just the pitch. So there's another episode where we finally do beat this boss, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe for more fun. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful night, folks.